and access to new energy, and also financial solution for them. So to start our meeting, I would like to say that we have with us very good speakers, and it's a pleasure for me to say that it was possible to set up this side event with our three co-applicants, WUSME, and also EP, and also RCREEE. So I would like to give first the floor to our president, Barbara Terenzi, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our side event at COP28. On behalf of myself and of WUSME, the World Union of Small and Medium Enterprises, I would like to express my gratitude for being here today at this side event on the topic MSMEs facing energy transition, innovative solution in finance and technology for value chains. The World Union of Small and Medium Enterprises is based in the Republic of San Marino as an international board of directors and a network of ambassadors representing the organization in more than 100 countries in the 5 continents. This event is an opportunity to contribute in better addressing complex challenges and identify the best solution to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. The commitment of all parties will be very useful. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
I give the floor.
The second co-applicant is Association EP from Paris, France. And if it is possible, Gilto, can you give a few words concerning your association?
Hello everybody, thank you for attending. So Entreprise pour l'Environnement, EPE, is a network of more than 60 French and international companies working on environment-related topics. And so we are going to have great interventions from 2 of our members about decarbonization projects to support SMEs or to support areas like Africa and the Middle East. And I just wanted to quickly take advantage of my time to mention that even if decarbonization is key for this transition, it will be also important to include adaptation to the strategies, to the actions of the companies, of the businesses, and it is essential to implement adaptation along with the decarbonization into their frameworks. And for that, we will soon release, in partnership with the French Agency for Ecological Transition and the French Ministry of Ecology, a publication showcasing businesses who have launched adaptation actions and strategies and implemented that along with their decarbonization actions in order to have an efficient transition. So this will be made available in early 2024 and also in English, and we hope that it will inspire businesses and other key partners and stakeholders to engage to commit to this adaptation necessity along with mitigation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. So our third co-applicant is RCREEE. So Dr. Joad Elkeras, can you say a few words about your organization? Headquarters, I think, is in Cairo.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be with you today. RCREEE is the Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. It's an intergovernmental organization based in Cairo. We work with 17 governments, 17 Arab countries on board. The main mission of the center since its creation 12 years ago is to support the energy transition process in these countries through promoting good practices and provide technical assistance to develop strategies and policies in the areas of renewable energy and energy efficiency, also through a lot of capacity building activities. But also we have another mandate is to promote the investment of private sector in these areas. So in this regard, we have an important portfolio in Egypt working with the private companies. So we do all the environmental and socio-economic impact assessment studies for the wind energy project, for example, which are required by the international financial institutions. And also we have a role in monitoring the migratory birds. So we try to promote the investments in wind energy, at the same time, protecting the biodiversity. So this is one of the portfolio that we develop in the center. We're also the technical arm of the League of Arab States. So somehow we represent all the Arab countries. And also we are the co-animator of the Union for the Mediterranean Platform on renewable energy and energy efficiency. So we're closely with Mediner, with Italian partner, which gather the national agencies for energy efficiency in the Mediterranean. So the subject of this session is very important for us because also we play some role in developing skills for SMEs and also show them the way and try also to involve local banks and financial institutions to fund these SMEs to develop, or to contribute to the energy transition process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. So I think that we can start this side event. And we have as a first speaker somebody very well known. I would say everybody knows the family, the grandfather, the father. And today we have with us Bertrand Piccard. He's here to propose a new presentation concerning the question of climate. And it's a new climate narrative. So I'm calling Bertrand Piccard to speak about that. Thank you.
I can already save time on my speech by saying hello, but I cannot go further. Thank you. So I'm not starting with this slide to remind you that the Solar Impulse flight around the world with no fuel started from Abu Dhabi, came back to Abu Dhabi, but to show you a little bit how our world works. When I initiated this project of a solar flight around the world, the specialist of energy and the specialist of aviation told me that it was impossible because the sun would not give enough energy to run an airplane day and night. This is the way our world works. It's about the quantity of production. And that's it. And we always need to have more, otherwise we think we cannot survive. Of course, if we succeeded around the world, it's not because we increased the power of the sun. It's because we produced an airplane that was absolutely energy efficient and could cope with the energy given by the sun. And I think this type of message is extremely important when we speak of climate action. And this is why, after this flight around the world, I wanted to go further, maybe a little bit down to earth, and see all the solutions that could make our world efficient, not only our airplane efficient. And I launched this challenge of having more than 1,000 economically profitable solutions to protect the environment. Here again, people told me it's impossible because climate action is expensive. You cannot find profitable solutions. Well, not only we found 1,000 of them, but now we have 1,600 of them. And it's fascinating to see that each one allows to grab a bit of CO2, a bit of pollution, a bit of inefficiency, helps biodiversity. So, of course, it's not one silver bullet. It's 1,600 gold bullets. And they are allowing us to make an efficient world. But they are not used enough. And when you represent your type of small and medium companies, others are representing innovators, startups, they all know the problem. The problem is not so much the valley of death that everybody speaks about. The problem is not only that they cannot find enough investors. The question is that they don't find the clients, because the clients don't know them, because the politicians don't know them. And they are golden pépites, and they are left apart. And I wanted to understand why that was so much the case everywhere. And it became obvious that the narrative that we have in climate change is the biggest handicap we have. We have been saying for decades that climate action and protection of the environment is something expensive, is something sacrificial for our mobility, for our comfort, for our economical development. We have been saying that degrowth is going to handicap the development of countries. Who would like to go this way? Who would like to degrow? Who would like to make sacrifice? Who would like to spend a lot of money? So when we have these solutions coming and say, look, we can decarbonize, we can be efficient, we can recover the heat of the chimney to give it back to the factory, we can use the heat of data centers to heat a building, we can use unrecyclable waste to produce construction material, we can save the data in the data centers with 90% less energy, we can have LED lamps that are 18 times more efficient than incandescent light bulbs. What's other people answering? They say, oh, it's difficult. Or, you know, I'm sure it's expensive. Oh, and if everybody is not using them, it's probably because it doesn't work. So we need to make a new narrative. We need to change completely what has not worked until now. And I love this quote of Einstein saying that madness means doing always the same and expecting another result. We had 27 COPs the same way, obtaining the absence of result that we know. We need to do it in another way now. So we think that by changing the way we present things, we can change the mindset of the people and the receptivity of the people in order to have a buy-in and not a resistance. Because today, we have opposition and resistance much more than buying. So the goal is to prove with all these solutions that today climate action is economically profitable. But we can go further. Even if there was no climate change, even if the climate change deniers were right, it would be logical as much as ecological to have our world much more efficient. And efficiency, what does it mean? It's the word I use the most. Efficiency, it means that you can do more and better with less. It is not like sobriety or degrowth, where you do less with less, and which is something that creates opposition. But when you can propose people to do more and better with less, obviously it becomes economically profitable because you save resources, you save money, you save energy. When we say that we waste 30% of the food in the world between production and consumption, it is a disaster for the people who are starving, but it's a complete stupidity because this is also energy wasted. You need energy for the production, for the harvest, for the distribution. You need insurance, fertilizers. You waste food, you waste energy. You waste the waste, you waste energy. You waste water, you waste energy. And of course, if you culminate with badly insulated buildings with inefficient heat pumps, with inefficient cooling and heating systems instead of heat pumps, you pay a fortune. So it's not only a climate urgency, it's an economic imperative to do things differently. So between all the change of vocabulary that we are publishing, I'd just like to give you a couple of examples here. The full document you find on our website, because we are publishing this new narrative at the occasion of the COP, and that was organized with Sultan Al-Jaber. When you hear people speaking of climate action, people who are afraid by the difficulty, being afraid of the expenses, just show the new business opportunities. They are in the small and medium enterprises. They are in the startups. All these companies who are just keen to have clients, to bring their products on the market. And this is a new business opportunity to become efficient. You sell efficiency instead of selling quantity and waste. This is why the climate urgency becomes an economic imperative, because we only speak of the CO2 put in the atmosphere every minute, but have you thought about all the euros, dollars, yen, dirham, everything that is wasted every single minute by wasting and being inefficient? A lot of people say, yes, but we have to close dirty sectors, and what do? We decrease the economy, we decrease our competitivity. Well, it's not a question only of closing dirty sectors, it's a question of diversification. Why did Kodak go bankrupt? Just because they did not diversify into digital pictures and kept their old model. It's really important to show that the biggest failures in the world did not necessarily come because people made a mistake. These failures came because people have done for too long something that was working in the past, but they refused to diversify. You hear that it's a high cost. You hear these numbers of trillions of dollars that have to be spent for the climate action. It's not a cost. As soon as you get money back, it's an investment. And today, all these solutions are ready to make extremely profitable investments instead of cost. This is why we have to give another word to this decarbonization. This decarbonization, actually, it's a modernization. And when you say modernization, it brings people much more together. And it's what we need to do today, because today the world is a world of the past. We are still using all the systems and the infrastructures and the products and materials that we've been using since 100 years, from the beginning of the oil era. You know the thermal engine? We think that we can have cleaner fuels. But the thermal engine has a maximum yield of 27%. It means that 3/4 of the fuel, whatever is the fuel you put in your tank, is wasted. An electric motor has 97% efficiency. You lose only 3%, not 3/4 of it. So it's clear that the world is going to electrification, just because you do much more with electricity. And the electricity can be produced in a decentralized way, also in developing countries, where you create local development that can never happen if you have centralized power plants with fuel and cables that never reach all the people in the periphery who desperately need this energy for the development of their community. So it's modernization, bringing the world from the past to the present with the new technologies that we have today already. So we don't need to degrow the economy. We can degrow the pollution. We can degrow the waste. We can degrow the inefficiency. But this means that we have a qualitative economy where we sell efficiency instead of selling waste. Problems, you hear all the time this word problems. There are solutions. Each time people tell you about problems, ask them where are the solutions. Do they know them? If they don't know them, tell them that there are so many solutions. And then, of course, you hear all the ones who want to protect the planet and who have to make sacrifice for the planet. But the planet is much better off without us. It's not the planet that we have to protect, it's the human quality of life. So it's not even the next generations, it's our generation today. Even if there is no CO2 in the atmosphere, there would be the pollution of air that kills 8 million people per year. This is not climate change. This is pollution due to our dirty way of living. So efficiency remains the word that we have to put everywhere. And if at the end, despite all your efforts, you have people to say, yes, but look, there are others that pollute much more. And usually it's true. You know, when you live in a country that produces 0.5% of the CO2 emissions, you think, even if I decarbonize completely my country, it will change nothing in the world. Yes, maybe it changes nothing in the world, but it changes everything for your country. Because you have a country that finally will be modern, efficient, profitable, better quality of life, better employment, better health. Well, basically everything you need to have a population that is much more happy than today. So this is what I really would like to emphasize. Use this new narrative, use this new wording, try to change the way climate action is presented in order to make it attractive. And if it is attractive, all these companies will be more easily going on the market. They will have more clients, they will have more support, they will have more investors, because the trend will be very clear. But as long as the trend is not clear, things will not happen, and it's our task to make it clear, to make it attractive, and to get a buy-in from everybody. Good luck.
Well, thank you so much for those words. The message is very clear. And in fact, I like this attitude. I mean, a positive attitude and also a kind of disruption. And we believe with our World Union Small Medium Enterprises that in fact we must push our SME in that direction. We need to have a positive attitude with them. We must convince them that in fact it's time to catch opportunities. And now I would like to follow in the same direction with Mrs. Dao concerning what you are proposing now at the present time for company. And if you can take the floor and make a presentation of your platform. Thank you.
Okay, so Excellencies, distinguished guests, and visionary delegates, I think this is the great opportunity for me to speak on behalf of United Nations Industrial Development Organization and Investment and Technology Promotion Office in Shanghai, China. So in short, we are from UNIDO ITPO Shanghai. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the World Union of Small and Medium Enterprises, WUSME, for the kind invitation. So today I would like to share with you a good practice about how the innovation solutions in technology cooperation for SMEs when they're facing the energy transaction. So my topic today is the World Industry and Innovative Technology Cooperation Platform empowers green transaction for SMEs. So UNIDO, as a special agency of the United Nations, we support SME as always through our investment and technology promotion, because we just have the honorable speaker. He emphasized how technology cooperation is important to bring the SMEs into the network, into the industry ecosystem. So UNIDO, as a special agency, we create our approach, our channel to let SMEs to link with the industry ecosystem. So now I would like to share with you. And first, as everybody knows, SME is a lifeblood of the economy. So we contributing very special contributions to the world economy, employment, innovation, and economic growth. So we have some statistics says that SME have proven to be engine of the transformation of the harness in the power of the digital technology to enhance their competitiveness and stability. So I'm from China, in Shanghai. In China, we always to express a figure that is 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 to describe how important for SMEs to contribute to the economy. Let me tell you, that is over 50% of the country's tax comes from as the private sector, contributing over 60% of the GDP. Moreover, more than 70% of the high technology enterprises are private owned, and over 80% of the urban employment originates from the private sector. And meanwhile, SME and the private enterprises are mutually overlapping, with over 90% of the private enterprises falling into the SME category. And also the 90% of these SME being private enterprise. So to this end, the sustainable development of SMEs is the key factor for us to meet the goal of the decarbonization. However, the SMEs encounter significant challenges in this successfully achieving the green transaction. So what kind of challenges? We can conclude it simply. We have 3 challenges. The first is the regulatory challenge. The second is financial constraints. And the third is technology constraints. So let me describe. So regarding the regulatory level, according to the UNIDO research, the industry policy remains irrelevant as ever. It is increasingly being recognized as a key ingredient of the transition to a low-carbon future. The most effective green and industry policies coincidentally cut across 3 distinct dimensions. So because currently we think that we're lacking of this kind of policy support. So from our research, the first one is the consumption-centered dimension. So let's say we have all the individuals. It is related to all the individuals. When we consume goods, we need to have this kind of policy to support decarbonization. The second dimension is the firm-level sustainability dimension. And the third is production, innovation-driven dimension. So a holistic and complementary approach across these 3 dimensions is necessary to ensure the coincident and coherent transition towards a low-carbon economy, which is also deliver benefit at the local level, such as the job creation. So from the technology perspective, we witness that compelling examples of how the advanced technologies are streamlining process, optimizing supply chain, and enabled the targeted market strategy. It is vital to acknowledge that not all SMEs are well equipped to embark on this green transaction journey, which is also not something that enterprises can achieve on their own. So we call policymakers, industry leaders, and stakeholders to cooperate in fostering an inclusive environment that ensures equitable access to financial and technology resources, empowering SME to sustainable development. So from the UNIDO, and we think because of the three constraints, the SMEs lacking of the policy support, lacking of the access to the market, lacking of to the technologies. So we think from UNIDO perspective, we are calling to funding an ecosystem for all the SMEs. So the first is to, we are lacking of the foundation. We need to combine the universities, utilities, and the venture capital and national institutions and service providers and cooperation together. So that is we need have all these shareholders can working together. And second, we will create an ecosystem to foster the innovative and entrepreneurs to the clean tech ecosystem. So that is our approach to empower SMEs. But in today's economy landscape, where resources constraints and climate concerns are no longer the extent list, but rather opportunities for new and sustainability business model, technology innovation has emerged as a major driver for the economic growth. So UNIDO have a lot of initiatives. For example, we have the platform for accelerators like GCIP and VF, I just talking about with our colleagues from Egypt, and WUSME. So this map shows that UNIDO has a lot of racing to the zero. We have the accelerator, we have the energy transaction for the clean recycling energy transaction centers all over the world. So through this kind of ecosystem and this kind of accelerators, so the SMEs can exchange their knowledge, exchange their technology cooperation together. So this is the one example that what we are doing and with our partners. So currently, because today is the COP28, and as I know, SME plays a key role in the economy. So if the economic development need to decarbonization, SMEs need to transform into the green economy and green technologies. So that's why UNIDO is create the, we are focusing on the hydrogen transaction because we are always have three constraints. The first is the power constraints. We need to transfer it into the green and clean recycling energy. And second, when we are talking about the production, so in the production cycle, we also need to rely on green energy. And the third one, when we are consumption, so we need to a green consumption. So we have, for UNIDO, we have a lot of platforms, centers, and initiatives, and cooperation statistics and cooperation mechanisms. So let's come together And because only we are having involved all these stakeholders come together so we can make a very, very clean future. So in this COP, UNIDO will also going to have some related agenda. It is in the energy transaction stage. So I am encouraging you to can share all this wonderful topic, and it is continue. So as the conclusion, I think UNIDO, as always, especially our office, ITPO office in Shanghai, we think to empower SME to a green transaction, we rely on the good mechanism, good policy, legislate good policies, and involve everybody together. So let's start from the energy transaction to a green future. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mrs. Dao. It's a complementary message after Bertrand Piccard. And we see that innovation is something important, and also that SME must catch all opportunity. After China, I think that we can have also India saying few words concerning those questions of disruption, innovation, also concerning SMEs. And we normally have online Dr. Juneja. Dr. Juneja is a member of our board. He wrote also a book, a famous book concerning innovation for SMEs. So I would like listening now the message of Dr. Juneja. Please take the floor.
Secondly, energy transition by SMEs. We are focusing on micro, small, medium enterprises. So therefore, we'll stick to that only subject. And let me tell you at the outset that half of the country's energy requirements and are to be met through renewable energy by 2030. And second, achieving the target of the net zero carbon emission by 2070. This is India's pledge, which we have already given. And it is important. Celsius. And by global warming. And I think we have to make a very determined effort in this particular respect. And let me also tell you that India has taken the lead in building what you call the Solar Alliance, International Solar Alliance. The International Solar Alliance is declared by government to open up the usage of in a big way the solar energy and other renewable energy sources, so that we had to depend less on other traditional energy sources. And I would like to say that when we talk about Indian SMEs, and we are talking about almost, you find we have close to 66 million SMEs and creating jobs about 120 million people. And we are in a big way involved in the growth of micro, small, medium enterprises. And when we're talking about climate adaptation, and let me tell you that ILO did a recent study where they had 1,000 enterprises from 8 countries. It was taken up by them to assess the impact of COVID-19. You know, the COVID-19 pandemic had a big impact on MSMEs. In fact, in many countries, for example, in India, half of the MSMEs closed down, and they had to struggle to survive. Now, slowly, they're getting back to the normal lifespan, creating jobs for the people. And let me also say that after ILO's study, many other countries have made sure that their countries do benefit, the SMEs do benefit. But when we're talking about climate adaptation, some countries have taken the steps. For example, even small countries like in India, Himalayas mountains, they have already created the spring rejuvenation program, rain harvesting, drip irrigation, sprinklers. And even Sri Lanka, they have brought big tanks so that water is continue flowing. They catch a lot of water and they continue flowing. Then even in Ghana, Vietnam, during my last year visit to Ghana, I found they have changed from cultivating snails and crabs in the coastal area to what do you call the beekeeping and mangoes restoration. Then coming to the second point is of energy transition. Then fossil fuels have to be controlled in terms of usage. So that is why we are saying we will continue using more of what do you call this, the alternate source of energy, and working on that. It is important that the transition energy, the use of technology and innovation will play a very major role in this respect. Let's recognize simultaneously that the cost of energy is going up. So therefore, it is important that we use alternate source of energy so that the costs are controlled. We are able to compete globally, even with the other companies, countries, etc. So therefore, with that, I might say, okay, let us work hard, work together, and try to control what you call the global warming to the extent of 1.5% by 2050. But I think India has committed to bring to 1.5 to 2070. And I think let us hope we can make it. But our Prime Minister, our country is very serious about the whole thing. I'm not restricting to only India, but all over all the other countries together. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you, Dr. Juneja, for this important message. We see that, in fact, after our three speakers, that innovation, of course, is very important for SMEs. And now we want to bring information with our three other speakers concerning what we can do with the SMEs. And especially, I would like to start with Dr. Jawad El-Kari about the situation in the Middle East and North Africa. Please, Doctor, can you give us some details concerning the different action you develop in favor of SMEs?
Thank you very much. Once again, a pleasure to be with you today. Yesterday, 118 countries committed to triple the renewable energy capacity by 2030 and double energy efficiency performance by 4% instead of 2% per year from now to 2030. So this is obviously a good news and a big engagement, very ambitious engagement, let's say. And that requires, as my colleague, Mr. Shauli from UNIDO, she highlighted, we need obviously a good regulatory framework. We need financing. Obviously, we need a lot of investment. And we need also technological development. But also we need having everyone, I mean, we talk about just and inclusive energy transition. So that means that we need really everyone. So obviously, government cannot alone achieve this objective. So we need government, we need private sector, we need civil society, research institute, etc. We need SMEs, obviously, micro, small, and medium enterprises play a very important role in the energy transition, worldwide, not only in the MENA region. So I will give some examples, but before that, I mean, some figures related to the contribution of SMEs in the global income and job creation is important. When it comes to, for example, to MENA region, we talk about 10 to 40% of the employment or the job opportunities that's created by SMEs. We talk about also between 10 to 40% of contribution to the GDP of the countries. So this is a very, very important. In one of the projects that we developed in RCREEE, which is MSMEs project, which is a European Union funded project, we focus on energy efficiency in the building sector and appliances. As you know, the building sector contributes to almost 39% of the emissions, energy emissions, and so it's very important to decarbonize it. So in this regard, we work with 8 countries in the Mediterranean, North African countries in particular. So we work on different levels. We work on the national codes, on the policies, and the financing. But in particular, we created what we call Sustainable Energy Investment Forum at national level, at regional level. At national level, it means that we gather all the energy stakeholders, plus the private sector, including SMEs, and the financial institutions and local banks. The idea is to promote dialogue between these actors and promote investments in energy efficiency, and also try to develop some packages, let's say, or incentives for SMEs to develop or to innovate in the area of energy transition, in particular energy efficiency in the building sector. So that was quite interesting, and we have, I mean, we started doing that from 2 years ago. The project is going through next year, so we'll see the result maybe later on, but it's already something that we are keen to develop with our partners in the region, in particular with MEDENER, which is the Mediterranean network of national energy efficiency centers. On the other hand, obviously banks and major corporates that finance and buy the products and services of SMEs are well equipped to support SMEs net zero action and energy transition goals. With their own net zero commitment, it's essential that they do so. SMEs can develop innovative financing models to support the adoption of renewable energy technologies. So this could include offering flexible financing options, such as lease-to-own arrangement or shared ownership models to make renewable energy projects more accessible and affordable for other businesses in the value chain. Green loans, for example, green loans are one place SMEs are turning. These are loans designed to fund projects with proven environmental benefit, like commercial solar power, battery walls, electrical vehicle chargers, and other sustainable assets. Some other financial tools that I can highlight also: supply chain financing and government procurement, use of technology to reduce risk, enhance efficiency, leading to lower costs, securitization and other means of obtaining capital relief for traditional sources of finance, introducing no traditional sources of long-term capital, capacity building. So we need also to develop skills of SMEs. So as mentioned by my colleague from UNIDO, not all SMEs are well equipped to embark this green transition journey. So SMEs also can play a significant role in the deployment of distributed energy systems, decentralization of the energy systems, such as microgrids, off-grid solutions. The systems can provide reliable and clean energy to remote or underserved areas, reducing reliance on traditional centralized power grids. This is happening now in Lebanon, in Syria, in Yemen, unfortunately, because the geopolitical situation is not good, I mean, because of the war, etc. So, but this encourages somehow some local SMEs to start working on this in this area. SMEs can leverage digital platforms and data analytics to optimize, for example, energy usage and improve the efficiency of value chains. This could involve developing software solutions that monitor and analyze energy consumption from inertia, or identify areas of improvements and provide actionable insights for energy optimization. Also, another area is to contribution to energy transition by developing innovative energy storage technologies, which is very, very needed in the region. This includes battery storage systems, advanced thermal storage solutions, or emerging technologies like hydrogen storage. My colleague mentioned hydrogen, so this is the future hydrogen economy. So we definitely need to involve SMEs. They have a lot to do in this area, and the whole value chain of the Power to X. I can mention also the implementing circular economy practices or developing sustainable packaging solutions, etc. Also, we need also to increase the awareness of SMEs on the technological progress, but also on the financial opportunities offered by the government or by the local banks or the financial institutions. SMEs in general are not aware of financial products offered by banks and other lending organizations. Many SMEs are also inexperienced in developing business plans, which is key for expressing business objective and growth to lending agents. Also facilitating access to capital markets by establishing secondary tiers with easier access restrictions. Using also existing state facilities, this is the case for some countries in the region. Consider providing fiscal or other incentives to financial institutions lending to SMEs, like strategic sectors to consider, like energy transition that we are talking about, renewable energy deployment or energy efficiency project. Consider providing credit guarantee schemes to reduce risk aversion by banks. So this is another also tool that we can utilize. There is a very interesting program launched by SIDA, Swedish Cooperation, and USAID and UAE governments in the region, which called, I think, We for Food, water, energy, food for food. So the first speaker talked about this. I mean, what we call Nexus, water, energy, food ecosystem nexus. It's important to have a holistic view to manage these resources. And there is a call by this program for SMEs to provide innovative solutions in these areas. I remember also a couple of years ago when I was working at the Middle East Desalination Research Center, we launched what we call Oman Humanitarian Desalination Challenge. It's about $700,000 to whoever, particularly SMEs and innovators, to develop small desalination device that could be deployed in remote areas in the case of humanitarian crisis. So a small desalination device that, for example, need to produce 3 liters of water per day at least, need to be working for the whole month, doesn't need any chemicals or other additional energy sources, standalone and handheld. I mean, it should be a small device. So this is another way to boost or incentivize innovation in this area, in particular for SMEs and innovators that could develop such kind of solutions. So I try to give some example from the MENA region, but obviously I will be happy to respond to any question. Thank you very much.
Dr. Jawad El-Kari, thank you so much. It's a fabulous job that you are doing with RCREEE and all your 17 members. I think that in that direction we can continue to precise what exactly some big groups are doing, especially in the MENA region. And I would like to call now Mrs. Jola Mari from NG, saying what is the business of your group in this MENA region, and also what kind of answer you have concerning SME and access to new energy. Take the floor, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Very happy to be with you all tonight. First, a couple of words to introduce to you who NG is, because I consider everybody should know what NG does, but this is not for granted. So NG is a global power company. We employ around 100,000 people worldwide. We operate on all continents. We provide energy. We generate an EBIT of 9 billion euros, approximately. And our job is to provide energy that should be as sustainable, as green as possible. Our DNA historically was a DNA of natural gas, that is to say fossil gas. And we have decided to pivot the company these last years to more renewable energy and to really shift what we deliver to our customers. This is really a change of DNA, very big change in depth for the company. So to go along the theme of this presentation today, the first thing I think a big corporate like NG should do to support SMEs is first to provide SMEs with clean energy. This is what we do for all our customers, but this should benefit to SMEs as well, because when we provide power, this is their scope 2, And when we provide gas, this is their scope 1. So if our energy is clean, or if we reduce those emissions, we help them to have a lower carbon footprint. How do we do that? We have decided to strongly invest in renewables. We have decided that we will be net zero by 2045 on all 3 scopes. And to achieve that, we decided to follow well below 2-degree trajectory for our activities. This can sound a bit theoretical, but practically speaking, it means we are investing so as to have 50 gigawatt by 2025 in renewable capacity worldwide, and 80 by 2030. Just to give you an order of magnitude, a nuclear reactor has an approximate capacity of 1 gigawatt. So of course, the production of nuclear and renewables is not the same. You have intermittency in renewable. But just to give you an order of magnitude, 80 gigawatt in 2030 is absolutely not neglectable. As I mentioned, renewables are intermittent. So to give more resiliency to the system, we need storage capacity. So we have decided, and we have publicly announced in last February, that we would invest in storage capacity, what we call the BESS, the Battery Energy System Storage, so as to ensure 10 gigawatt of capacities by 2030, as far as power storage is concerned as well. So these are strong investments, but this is costly. Or if I took my notes correctly, I shouldn't use the word cost. According to Bertrand Piccard, I should say this requires an investment. So yes, we have invested. So just to share with you, this is, I think, what we have to do if we want to help everybody to decarbonize, including SMEs. We have to put money on the table. So we have decided to ensure we would deliver those extraordinary renewable targets I just mentioned, that we would double for the 3 coming years our CapEx, our capability expenditures. We would double them in comparison to the last 3 years. So we are reaching approximately between 13 to 14 billion euros of investment on renewable capacity, not neglectable as well. And speaking about money, and SMEs, I think everybody should acknowledge that SMEs have been, especially in Europe, but SMEs have been hit by the energy crisis in Europe due to war in Ukraine, and the rising prices of energy has been a tremendous shock for many SMEs that were a big conflicted between do I ensure the end of the month or the end of the world? And nobody should have to choose between those 2 issues. So to manage to tackle that situation, ENGIE has decided to create in November 2022, I was about to say last November, but no, last November is 2023, so almost a year ago, we created a support fund for SMEs, and we put 60 million euros on the table to ensure that those small companies that are our main customers, those who are in difficulties in paying their bills, would be supported and have financial guarantees just to ensure they could continue their activity. We think it's part of the responsibility of a big corporate to be there when those uncertainties occur. Nobody could have expected this price crisis, and we were there to support as well, alongside what public institutions and powers did, of course. That was the general setting of what a big group can do when we provide clean energy. But we have, I think, we have a kind of ethical responsibility to take more targeted approaches towards SMEs, not just considering them as any customers. So we have decided to acknowledge the fact that a decarbonization journey, and if I quote Bertrand Piccard, I should say a modernization journey, but that would make less sense, I guess. So a decarbonization journey is going to require lots of money, resources, time, energy, skills. And for a big company, I would not say it's easy, but I can say it's easier than for a small company. So we have resources, and it's not an easy way. A member of my team is here. We're suffering every day on those issues because the challenges are huge. So imagine what it is for a medium-sized or very small-sized company to handle those issues of decarbonization. It's just, I think it can be a nightmare. So we decided to commit with the French government on what they have created, which is the Alliance Pact PME, SMEs, to say it in English, to help them to decarbonize faster and stronger, and to help them to identify what the right levels are, such as a right carbon footprint, a quantification of their scope 1, 2, and 3, and what is a real transition plan. We're not doing that alone, and in this respect, I think cooperation is key between big companies and public sector. So it's an alliance that is including the French government and 7 other large companies alongside ENGIE, Sanofi, Schneider, Thales, Bouygues Construction, ADP, EDF, and very recently Orano joined. So those companies, on those issues of supporting SMEs, we considered that there was no room for competition between ourselves. Let's share good practices. What works with you? Could I implement that in my home? That's the kind of logic we have to put in place. We decided to go a bit further, and ENGIE has launched a kind of a very targeted initiative. Last April, we have announced that we would do a partnership with the French Environmental Energy Management Agency, the ADEME, and the French Public Bank for Investment. And this is called the DIAG Decarbon Action, Diagnosis for Decarbonization Action. And this is covering 1,000 SMEs, our SMEs, the ones we have in our value chain. And we have decided to put in place a program where we would give them the equivalent of 12 days of consulting, high-level consulting, to do the carbon footprint assessment for all scopes, and to co-construct their transition plan, and to better understand what it means to really have a good stakeholder management, because those are issues we deal with in big companies, but perhaps less in small companies. Just to finish on this, sharing with you that we are exploring to do that in other geographies. We are thinking about Romania, Germany, or Spain, for instance, to extend this logic. And just sharing with you, because when I prepared this intervention, I could have sensed that it could give the feeling that big companies are patronizing or parenting SMEs. This is really something I would like everybody to get rid of as an idea. We are really here in a partnership logic. Why? Because those SMEs, they are our suppliers. So if they decarbonize, they help us to decarbonize our upstream scope 3. This is the value chain effect. So we are doing them because we think it's good for the planet. We think it's good for them, but it's good for us as well. So it's a win-win-win relation. So I would really not give the impression that big corporates have to give advices and so on to small SMEs. There are tons of innovations and great ideas there. So really, I think we should keep that in mind and learn from them as well. And to finish, decarbonization is just the first layer. We'll need to support those SMEs on the nature journey and the social journey as well. So it's just the beginning of this cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. Thank you, Julia Marie. In fact, 3 words to summarize this clear presentation concerning your group. I would say caring, daring, and sharing. And we are keeping this word also sharing with SMEs. I think it's something important. You show how SME they can bring to you, and SME they need also support from group like you. So thank you so much for all your explanation. Thank you so much. Now I would like to call Mr. Pouliquin, because it's also a big group. He make a little presentation about Veolia, and also you have main points to develop concerning this cooperation between Veolia and also SME, specifically because an important part of your activity are local. So you are very near SME. So please take the floor and explain us the details about that.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Just to introduce Veolia, we are one of the leading company around waste management, water cycle, and energy cycle, but on local part, we are local decarbonized energy. We are about 200,000 people around the world in 50 countries, so what we call a big company. But we are local, as you mentioned it. We are local because we are essentially a service provider. And a service provider, the DNA is to be local, to be nearby its customer, nearby the cities, nearby the industrial we serve as far as waste, water, or energy. And to illustrate that, we have put on one of our 14 key objective extra financial KPIs, the one we communicate externally, to showcase our local footprint. And we do a study every year to illustrate that, and all the bonus of our key executive is linked with these 14 extra financial objectives. So it's quite important for us, and it's a way to showcase the way we embark our purpose, the ecological transformation. When you are a group like Veolia, in fact, you depend on SMEs. You cannot do anything alone, and we are just, I will say, a framework in front of customer, but a lot of things we delegate, subcontract, and things like that. In the study we do, we say that for one job in Veolia, we have about 6 to 7 jobs outside Veolia created. And for example, in France, we have about 40,000 SMEs as supplier. So, I mean, you got about 10 billion euro turnover and 40,000. So it's really a communities of people working with us, and it is very important for us to help them to progress, because we have our own obligation as big groups. We have to be compliant with new regulation, but regulation is some way a big bothering for everyone, for big groups, but for SMEs it's a nightmare. And we need to explain why we are focusing on these human rights. You mentioned on nature, on climate, you developed that, Julia. Because it's not about regulation, it's about changing the world, and it's about our DNA. And if they want to be part of Veolia on the long term, they need to be part of our journey, and they need to understand the why we are doing that. We definitely are looking and using SMEs for innovation. It's really important because as a big group, we have this constraint of the big group, so we need the intelligence, the reactivity, the speed of SMEs or startup. That's why we develop some incubator, accelerator. We have one at Veolia, what we call Veolia Innovation Accelerator, and it helps us to win big contracts. Because when we select, for example, in Lille, a startup named Lixo to work on the sorting of waste, it's helped us to differentiate ourselves in front of our competitors. So it's very important for us to continue to look and to have the creativity on that. And we have about the same incubator and accelerator in Eastern Europe and everywhere in the world. Maybe just to conclude on social, I think it's quite important as well that a group like Veolia support social incubator, social SMEs, because it's part of the ecosystem we have now, at least in Europe, but as well in the rest of the world. And these people need connection with big group as well. So we developed a program which the name is Pop-Up for the last 10 years, which give for the colleague of Veolia a connection with this kind of social entrepreneurship, and give us as well the opportunity to have their energy, their innovation mode. And it's quite important for a group like Veolia to be connected, because at the end, and to conclude, what we want to be as our ecosystem. We want to be as the region we serve, and it's very important to have all the creativity, all the wealth, I mean, of the difference of the people. And when we are around Toulouse, it's not the same that when we are in Morocco, it's not the same when we are in Dubai. So we have in every place this kind of ecosystem, and we try to be as close as possible as the local ecosystem, because we have this in our DNA and purpose. So just to conclude, Yes, we are a big group, but a big group will never continue its journey without the support of SMEs. And as I will never oppose SMEs and big group. I think that everyone do his choice, but everyone has his part in the big journey we are facing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Poliquin. Now we have a third part in our side event. It's concerning the financial part and also all the questions about economy. So I would like to put on the screen a video concerning Arthur Minsat. Arthur Minsat is the senior consultant at OECD, and he is in charge about the desk for SMEs and concerning Africa, Europe, and also Middle East. So if we can put the video, it's perfect. Thank you.
It is a pleasure to take part virtually in the side event organized by the World Union of Small and Middle-Sized Enterprises on the very timely topic of MSMEs facing the energy transition. The African continent has high but untapped potential in entrepreneurship. African economies are the second fastest growing in the world, and they are also the economies with the highest level of entrepreneurship. We estimate that 22% of Africa's labor force is working in entrepreneurship or planning to do so. Entrepreneurship is also bringing a lot of jobs and innovations to the continent. Formal companies younger than 5 years and with less than 20 employees create about 22% of the new jobs. With about 30 million young people becoming 16 years old every year on the continent, it is particularly important, especially for women and youth. However, African economies and MSMEs are particularly affected by climate change. The African continent is the most vulnerable to climate change, although it contributes the least to global greenhouse gas emissions globally. In 2022, climate and related hazards caused more than $8.5 billion in economic damages. And we have reached new heights. On July 5th, in Adrar in Algeria, nighttime temperature reached a minimum of almost 40 degrees Celsius. In Nigeria, about 300 million people face unlivable heat. And in the world, 20 most affected countries most affected by climate change, 17 are in Africa. MSMEs in Africa are directly affected by climate change. While there was an increase in green finance for MSMEs globally from 4.2 billion in 2015 to 14.5 billion in 2020, it remains difficult to access on the continent. The obstacles that entrepreneurship faces related to financing, the business environment, and skills development first. We estimate that 18% of firms in Africa identify access to finance as their main constraint to doing business, and 15% state that the most severe problems are with electricity. And this is all the more important that the African continent faces a high degree of informality that limits its access to skills and finances. In West Africa, for example, almost 80% of the labor force is in informality. Let me take some examples from African regions showing the potential for renewable energy for MSMEs. In recent years, North Africa has seen a surge in renewable energy, presenting a growth of more than 40%. By 2030, Tunisia aims to create between 7,000 and 20,000 jobs in the sector. Algeria aims to surpass 250,000 jobs. The ambitious Mediterranean Solar Plan for North Africa envisions an export capacity of 22,000 megawatts to Europe by 2030. In Southern Africa, the renewable energy market is growing fast. It accounts for 60% of the continent's installed solar energy capacity and 40% of the continent's installed wind power. Partnerships are very important. The Climate Finance Facility, launched in 2019, is a specialized lending facility designed to increase private investment in climate-related infrastructure projects. National investment policy frameworks are also essential to attract sustainable investment, while cross-border investment projects reduce trade frictions and market fragmentations in the context of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The African Clean Energy Corridor aims to link power pools in East and Southern African regions by 2030. They aim to attract 25 billion per year in electricity generation and 15 billion per year in grid infrastructure by 2030. This would increase electric supply by 2.5 times, meeting almost half of the power needs in the region by 2030. Now, what can international organizations and development agencies do to help MSMEs on the continent? Partnerships are crucial. They can provide financial, but also non-financial support to bridge gaps in knowledge and catalyze sustainable growth. International and development institutions can provide credit guarantees for green lending and support the provision of equity finance. For example, the African Guarantee Fund for SMEs has granted a portfolio guarantee line for 2.5 billion francs CFA to Société Générale Burkina Faso to support SMEs, women entrepreneurship, and the green economy. The IFC in 2023 launched a project to support MSMEs through the Alliance for Entrepreneurship in Africa that would provide 5 billion to increase capital and the financing of agribusiness with $1 billion US, and a capacity building and mentoring project and for the reduction of trade costs. The European Union's Global Gateway is a program launched in 2021 to boost smart, clean and secure links in the digital, energy and transport sectors. It mobilizes 150 billion euros in investment directed to the green and digital transition, particularly in developing pharmaceutical and health systems, and to invest in education and training. At the country level in Egypt, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, the European Union, the Green Climate Fund have started a fund for the Green Value Chain program with 70 million euros that allow SMEs to invest in climate mitigation and adaptation. The Green Economy Financing Facility provides up to 150 million euros to green finance to SMEs across agricultural, construction, commercial, and manufacturing sectors. Public institutions are very important also for the provision of mentorship, online tools, consulting services, and providing the right environment for MSMEs. In 2021, the OECD launched the OECD Platform on Financing SMEs for Sustainability. By bringing together public and private financial institutions, governments, SMEs representatives, this platform aims to bridge knowledge and awareness gaps and develop and share innovative solutions and best practices for finance providers, SMEs, and governments. The OECD also launched a training program for skills development in SMEs. The project identifies ways to overcome the barriers to workforce development in SMEs, with the main objective to analyze such training programs, how they have performed, and their impact on the innovativeness and competitiveness of SMEs. In conclusion, African MSMEs stand as a key driver for sustainable progress on the continent, but they face key obstacles in accessing finance and navigating the negative impacts of climate change, such as increasing temperature and water shortage. Promising developments in the renewable energy sector, which holds huge investment potential, coupled with international organizations and government initiatives, will underscore the potential for catalyzing these green transitions. By working together, we pave the way for these enterprises to thrive and contribute significantly to a greener, more prosperous future. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks a lot to Arthur Minsat, OECD. for this contribution. As a WUSME, we are interested by all the parts in the world. We were discussing about India, also about China. We must also share opinion concerning Africa, even if we see that there is difference in one continent to another. And even if Arthur Minsa is delivering an optimist message, we must say that if we can reinforce SME in Africa, it will be easier to establish good solution according to what said our friend Bertrand Piccard. We can be optimistic, but also we must look for a disruption so that the informal sector will be less important in Africa and that we can have a more important formal sector. That's also a solution to the problem. Now, I would like, if it is possible, put a video from Hong Kong. It's our member of the board, Dr. Lam. Because it's also important to listen to the message from Dr. Lam.
Ladies and gentlemen, the world faces the immediate challenge of building back better and faster from the COVID-19 pandemic and in the midst of increasing geopolitical and trade tensions. As we build back together, we must quickly and decisively invest in smarter and greener solutions, leveraging from green finance, green technology, and digital technology developments, including fintech, insurtech, regtech, and digital assets, which are driven by tech entrepreneurs and startups. That is what building back better and faster must mean. Now is the time to double down, not to neglect and procrastinate the commitments to achieve the global goals agreed by world leaders in 2015, the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, and the Paris Agreement on climate change. The private sector must be mobilized for more and faster contributions towards achieving the green transformation of the world's economy. The private sector plays a critical role as it possesses abundant resources, particularly in green finance, as well as innovation and technology. Businesses must continue to align their business strategies with environmental, social, and governance, or ESG principles, to develop new business models that create new and sustainable employment and better outcomes for the environment and society. According to market estimates, the ESG capital market potential is huge, as ESG fund assets globally have climbed to over $3.9 trillion, but it only accounts for over 10% of the total ESG assets globally. There are insufficient tools to evaluate ESG investment value and social benefits in the financial sector, and it hinders ESG market development. Meanwhile, the financial sector has a strong demand for ESG-related financial technology, or fintech solutions, ranging from information disclosure, certification, rating, and data services. Fintech can help to attract more capital into the ESG field and accelerate the global progress towards achieving sustainable development. Rather than a burden or an obligation, enterprises should regard ESG as an indispensable part of modern risk management. It represents a huge opportunity, and digital technology is the key to grabbing it. ESG reporting and investment involve significant amounts of data processing, management, analysis, and forecasting. Innovative solutions developed with digital technologies such as the Internet of Things, or IoT, blockchain, artificial intelligence and machine learning enable investors to clearly understand ESG performance and development, as well as trends within companies, their business partners, and potential investment targets, helping investors to avoid related risks and increase and release potential value. Green finance, and particularly ESG and fintech, working hand in hand with green tech, have become global trends. The private sector must continue working closely with governments and communities to promote and facilitate the development of young people into sustainability committed green economy professionals and entrepreneurs through businesses' ongoing efforts and investments in training and mentoring young people to start or transition in to the green economy, jobs and startup opportunities alike, with the required digital technology, green finance, and entrepreneurial skills. To achieve the green transformation, enterprises need to make full and synergistic use of digital technology, green technology, and green finance. And enterprises also need the full participation and contribution of young professionals and entrepreneurs, many of whom will increasingly be found in SMEs and startups. Promoting and facilitating more and faster ESG investment and fintech, green tech developments is no doubt an urgent top priority of the private sector, particularly financial institutions, sovereign funds, stock exchanges, public listed companies, family offices, tech investors, and professional services firms. And a critical success factor is the continuing improvement of policy incentives, such as tech ecosystems and supporting resources, such as risk capital and venture loans for tech entrepreneurs and startups. I wish all of you good health and success in your business. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Lam, thanks for this contribution. We see that, in fact, concerning all those questions to finance SME so that they can have access to new energy, there is a plurality of solutions according to the country. And I think that we heard before with Dr. Jawad that you are looking many solutions, adapting according to the country. And maybe according to what you said, and also other speaker, we can put forward a few points which are very important, I would say, for the following years concerning access for SME to new energy, and especially access to finance for those new energy. One point is very important. It's in fact for country to have ability to set up the different law that we need, so that people like investor, they can come to the country and they can put also the money. So I think it's a long way, but this is since maybe 20 years, a lot of things have been done in that field. The second point that we must insist, it's the couple between public and private investment. I think that now we have a complete list of best practice in that field. And it's also opportunity to duplicate what is going well, and especially so that private sector will be confident to develop operation with such or such government. I think that it's very important also the role of those financial institutions for development, because they are able to take some risk, they are able to put money in a certain operation where private sector is not able to go immediately. And in that fact, I think that we see also a good evolution since 20 years, because they were able to trace the way, to show where we must go with the private sector concerning all investment for energy. And all those institutions, they are working also with all the public international institutions and also all the programs that we are developing here at the COP through the different COP. And we see that COP after COP, new ideas are we are putting on the table, and that the money also, even if it is not coming immediately, step by step, it's there. And it's also a good opportunity for all those countries. So I would like just now to give a last word to our speaker, please. And if you can take the floor just to give your opinion about what we are saying. No problem. Say a word.
I just want to kindly remind you that the time has finished. Thank you.
Maybe I can just jump in and share with you on the finance aspect you just concluded on.
Okay.
A very important issue. We have an internal fund in the company. It's the employees' money, and it goes to startups and SMEs to propose ad hoc solutions and energy powerful solutions, just to show that this issue of finance can be an issue of personal alignment for employees of big companies as well. That will be all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.